The marble of Rome glows under a dying sun. Smoke drifts from 10,000 torches. The air tastes of iron and incense. Beneath the hum of empire, something ancient stirs, a question that has haunted every age. How does a single man teach an entire world to obey Fae? AR, welcome to Scarlett Historians, where we walk through the corridors of power long gone and listen for the echoes they left bay. I&D, tonight, we descend into the mind of a ruler who did not simply commit crew. LT, he designed it. He built a system where obedience was measured not in words, but in the quiet surrender of the soul. His name was Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germ. Anarchus, but history remembers him by a nickname, once spoken in affection, Caligula, Little Boots. Imagine a military camp at the edge of the known world. Dust, sweat, and the clang of armor. In the middle of the legion's march, a child runs laughing between the ranks, wearing a tiny soldier's breastplate and red leather boot. T.S. The men cheer, lifting him onto their shields. He is the son of Germanicus, Rome's champion, a future written in TR. Yumph. For this boy, love and glory are the same thing, until both are taken. When Germanicus dies in Syria, rumor spreads like smoke. Some whisper poison, others divine jealousy. Whatever the cause, it breaks more than a family. It breaks a prophecy. Soon, soldiers loyal to the dead hero are exiled, silenced, or executed. Caligula's mother, Agrippina the Elder, protests, and the state answers with chains. His brothers follow, one starved, one driven mad, one beaten until death be. Comes mercy. The child survives by learning the first RUL. E of power. Feel nothing. Emotion is evidence. Affection, ammunition. Every gesture of warmth becomes a blade waiting to be turned. By 19, he is the last branch of a burned family tree. The Emperor Tiberius, the very man believed to have ordera. D. The killings, summons him. Destination, Capri, an island fortress glittering over turquoise seas, where Rome's ruler hides from the city he once governed. Capri, paradise wrapped around a nightmare. The cliffs rise like knives from the sea. Behind the marble terraces, rumors walk barefoot. T. Whispers of exile, executions. Games that have no audience but Pa. Here, Tiberius surrounds himself with astrologers, informers, and courtiers who mistake silence for loyalty. Every word can kill. Into this labyrinth of suspicion steps Cali. Gula, the last survivor of the man Tiberius Dest. Royd, he smiles. He plays the obedient ward. He watches. Ancient historians wrote, "Never was there a better servant, nor a worse master." Those 6 years on Capri were his apprenticeship. He studied how fear could replace law, how spectacle could replace truth, and how mercy could be treated as weakness when Tiberius finally dies. In 37 AD, whether by nature or by a sloth, aired pillow, Caligula, at 24, inherit. The Empire. Rome erupts in celebration. The son of beloved Germanicus has come home. Temples open their doors. Prisons open their gates. Coins bear his smiling face, the image of renewal. For 7 radiant months, Rome believes in him. But inside that smile, something festers. It begins with an illness, a fever so violent that physicians despair. When he awakens, the court cheer. But the man who rises from the bed is not the man who fell into it. The first proof of change is personal. Caligula's sister Drusilla becomes the center of his universe. Whether their closeness crossed forbidden lines is lost to rumor. But what matters is the way he used the story. When Drusilla dies suddenly, he orders the impos. Sibyl, the empire must mourn forever. Temples proclaim her divine. Her image replaces household gods, and the Senate receives new laws. To laugh is an insult to divinity. To celebrate is treason. To bathe, to feast. To marry, all suspended under pie. End of death. For weeks, Rome becomes a tomb. Markets fall silent. Musicians vanish. Weddings dissolve. Even the birds of the city are said to have been silenced. Citizens swear the night itself yield its breath. It is the first prototype of his machine, a test to see whether emotion can be legislated. It works. He has discovered that power is not about command. It is about control of reality itself. Once grief is mastered, he turns to humiliation. The Roman elite have built their identity upon reputation, ancestry, purity, the solemn dignity of office. Caligula strips that armor from them piece by piece. He re-engineers taxation, inventing levies that exist only to remind citizens of dependence. He sells privileges, rescinds them, then sells them again. Each transaction is a less. Son, often belongs to you, not even your hoe. Nor, ancient writers tell of a deeper cruelty. The conversion of imperial rooms into spaces of exploitation, where status itself became a commodity. True or not, the rumor was enough. Fear does not need evidence. It only needs repetition. Within months, senators stop meeting in private. Letters are burned before reading. Fathers no longer speak freely in front of sons, lest one day the boy repeat a sentence that kills the household. Rome begins to whisper again, as it had on day. Our Tiberius. But now the whisper wears Caligula's grin. Every empire feasts on ceremony. Banquets are Rome's theater of hierarchy. Power displayed as elegance. Under Caligula, the tables turn to altars. Senators dine not to be honored, but to be tested. Every glance, every twitch of a hand could become an accusation. At one such feast, according to chroniclers, the emperor begins to speak of virtue, of fidelity, of the beauty of Roman matrons. His tone grows colder. Eyes follow his every gesture. Then he laughs, a sound so sudden that goblets tremble. The hall freezes. He enjoys that silence, the way a sculptor enjoys marble before the first cut. In this world, resistance is death, compliance is survival. The senators learn a new discipline to erase the boundary between what they think and what they pretend to think. Their souls become stage props. That is the heart of Caligula's design, to make honesty obsolete. As his reign darkens, executions become theater. But cruelty alone no longer satisfies him. He wants to measure it, like an experiment. A condemned man's son is brought forward. The father begs for mercy. The emperor watches the tremor of his hands. When the boy's fate is sealed, the father collapses. Caligula orders him to dine that night at the palace. The meal is ordinary: bread, olives, wine. But every swallow is an act of horror. Guards observe, reporting whether the man flinches, whether his eyes redden. Not because Caligula doubts his obedience, but because he needs to confirm that obedience can reach this far. Grief itself becomes illegal. Love becomes dangerous. Affection a liability. By the end of his third year, Rome has transformed from a city into a laboratory of despair. And Caligula, the boy who once wore tiny soldier's boots, has become the scientist of suffering. But every machine fails when a single cog refuses to turn. Among the emperor's guards stands Cassius Chaerea, a veteran of countless campaigns, disciplined and unremarkable. Except for his voice, high-pitched, the subject of constant imperial jokes. Caligula mocks him publicly, assigning ridiculous passwords, forcing laughter from other soldiers who fear to stay silent. Each insult is a test of control. Each chuckle, another nail in the coffin of loyalty. On January 24th, 41 AD, Caligula attends the theater near the Palatine. He watches comedies, applauds, promises rewards. No one suspects anything. Even monsters need applause. When the play ends, he takes the covered corridor that links theater to palace. The passage is narrow, the walls close. In that echoing half-light, Cassius Chaerea steps forward. He asks for the day's password. Caligula sneers. And in that instant, the machine breaks. A blade rises, striking beneath the ribs. Another follows, and another. Historians count 30 wounds. An empire built on fear collapses in 60 seconds of sound. Steel, breath, and silence. The conspirators move swiftly. They kill his wife, Caesonia. They find his little daughter and silence the bloodline. They think the nightmare is over. But systems outlive men. While the Senate debates the return of the Republic, the Praetorian Guard ransacks the palace. Behind a curtain, they find a man shaking, half hidden by fear. Claudius, Caligula's uncle. They lift him up, crown him emperor, and march him through the streets. The cycle begins again. The empire does not dissolve. it adapts. The faces change, but the structure remains. Power concentrated, fear organized, obedience rewarded. Why does Caligula's story still echo 2,000 years later? Because he revealed a truth older than Rome, that cruelty can be systematic, that an empire can obey evil not through chaos, but through procedure. The mourning of Drusilla, law enforcement doing its job, the confiscations and humiliations, bureaucracy balancing its ledgers, the public banquets, state hospitality, every atrocity performed in perfect administrative order. When Caligula died, the laws, offices, and rituals he twisted remained intact. The empire simply changed operators. Nero, who burned the city and called it cleansing. Domitian, who executed citizens for the way they looked at him. Commodus, who fought as a gladiator while Rome cheered. Each used the same machinery, polished by a different hand. Caligula's genius, if evil deserves the word, was to prove that tyranny could be automated, no longer dependent on one man's madness. It could survive through tradition, paperwork, and fear of losing comfort. That is why his reign, though brief, 3 years, 9 months, and 8 days, casts a shadow centuries long. He turned governance into an experiment in domination, and the world kept the formula. You've been listening to Scarlett Historians, where the past still breathes beneath the marble. If Caligula's story chills you, remember, it is not only a relic of Rome. Wherever fear replaces conscience, wherever law serves cruelty, his machine stirs again. History does not repeat. It refines. Until next time, walk carefully through the ruins. They're listening.